Part of learning Japanese at school was learning how to because isn't in Japanese. It's eto. The interesting thing was consciously switching out an utterance we are habituated to use, something we use without thinking, with something deliberate. Hi, I'm Bri Williams, the behaviour changer. In this video, I'm going to delve into umming and other hedging language like might or possibly to explain how these utterances impact how you are perceived. Is equivocating or umming too much turning your customers off? Do colleagues think you don't know your stuff? In short, do you come across as trustworthy or do you sound shifty? If you want to get your words right, you might want to, let me try that again. If you want to get your words right, just do this. Do you find yourself using hedging language like something is probably the best option or that solution might work? Well, those hedges can impact how persuasive you are, but not necessarily in a bad way. Contrary to what we might assume, see how I hedged just then? Contrary to what we might assume, research reveals it's the type of hedge rather than whether we hedge that damages persuasion. Why? Because hedges affect perceptions of how confident you are. But first, what are hedges? Hedges are words or phrases that express ambiguity, caution, or indecisiveness about a statement. Expressions like I think, it might, seems to be, probably, may, and arguably. It's difficult to avoid hedging because we are rarely able to provide certainty about a product, service, or an investment's outcome. And maybe for legal reasons, we just don't want to. So with equivocation being part and parcel of our communications, researchers from Duke University and the University of Pennsylvania teased apart what impact hedges have on our ability to persuade. They suggest there are two dimensions when it comes to hedges: suggested likelihood, that is the probability of something occurring. For example, it will probably work infers a stronger likelihood of success than it will possibly work. And perspective. This is whether it is a general or a personal view being expressed. It seems is general, where it seems to me is personal and infers your opinion. Through a series of 6 studies, the researchers found combining higher likelihood hedges with a personal perspective made speakers seem more confident, which in turn increased persuasion. In other words, you're better to say, I'd argue this is the best product of its type, rather than it feels like it could be the best product in its class. That's because you are signaling you stand by your statement, using the first person perspective, I'd argue, rather than it could be argued, and using the more strident assertion, argue, rather than feel. The hedge's impact on your customer's confidence in what you say is also related to your credibility. The more credible you are, the more heft your hedge will have. For example, if you ask a mechanic about a used car you're thinking of buying and they use hedging language, well, this might be enough to make you put off the purchase. If you ask a novice friend and they hedge, well, their perspective is much easier to ignore. This means that when your knowledge is relevant to someone's decision, like when you are recommending a product to a customer, your choice of hedge will matter. Using higher likelihood hedges like probably rather than possibly can make you sound more confident. For example, it would be better to say this is probably the best product for you rather than it feels like this product could be best for you. Now, speaking of best products, I want you to know that this video is a sample of content from my Just Do This online program. In Just Do This, I show you exactly how to apply behavioural science to everyday business issues, like acquiring and retaining customers and staff. Get live sessions with me, templates, scripts, and new content every month. Join at briwilliams.com. Now, let's talk about So what about umming? When it comes to talking, we naturally insert some pauses, some ums and some ahs. Some people do this more than others, of course, but it's estimated we do it between 4 to 10 times per 100 spoken words. Now, if you have an umming habit, is that necessarily a bad thing? Well, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news: ums and ahs are forms of disfluencies. Disfluencies are things that interrupt the expected pattern of speech, like pauses, for example. The good news, if you want someone to remember what you said, is disfluencies can help. This is because they interrupt the expected pattern of speech, jolting people out of their flow and tuning them in to what you were about to say. Recent research suggests that pausing and using ums and ahs can help with this, making what you say more memorable, at least in the short term. That is, as long as you use them just before a critical statement, your mic drop moment, because they help bring attention to what you're about to say, encouraging people to latch onto it. But here's the bad news. Disfluencies like ums and ahs can be extremely annoying to listen to. If you litter your presentation with them, you prevent people from getting into flow and relaxing. You need to establish a rhythm that takes your listener or your audience with you. Think of a calm sea with the occasional glorious wave rather than a choppy ocean. And the biggest problem with ums and ahs is that they can undermine how confident you seem. You end up looking like the character, Mr. Bean, fumbling your way through your point and seeming ill-prepared. So, in summary, when it comes to hedging and umming, when hedging, use first-person pronouns, I, me, and my, so you sound like you stand by your statement. This will enhance your customers' confidence in what you say. Use a higher likelihood of occurrence, like arguably the best, rather than feels like the best, to project confidence. And match your credibility with the hedge. The more they are relying on you as a relevant source of information, the more your confidence will impact their decision. And when it comes to ums, less is definitely more. Disfluencies are part and parcel of speech, but be mindful of their impact. I guess I'll see you next time.